everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to talk about the rumor out there that I do sort of believe is true. That Matt Shakman, or Shakman, I can never pronounce his name correctly, I think it's Shakman. Matt Shakman, the director of WandaVision, is being heavily rumored to be the director of the Fantastic Four. And you know me, usually I don't make too many videos about rumors, like rumors on their own, if I don't believe it a lot, I'm not going to make a video about it. But there is some credence to this. First of all, Marvel Studios likes to get directors they've worked with before, or particularly directors Kevin Feige has worked with before. Because even if you look in the case of with the whole Scott Derrickson situation and bringing on Sam Raimi, like Sam Raimi's someone who Feige's already worked with. So, it wasn't that hard for Feige to just ask this guy to come in. Like, they've worked together, they're friends, they know each other. It wasn't too difficult, like, to get him in the room and to get that and work out that process just because they already know each other. So, Marvel tends to want to work with, particularly in a situation like this where they had a set director. They were already probably making plans and he was probably in the thought process of making something. And then, for one reason or another, he left the project. So, Marvel likes their set directors. They like directors they've worked with and they trust before. Obviously, given the Russo brothers going from an isolated single movie like Winter Soldier to doing Endgame. Obviously, Daniel Dustin Cretton, I think I said his name correct. It might be in reverse, but Daniel Dustin Cretton coming on after doing a great job with Shang-Chi, directing the next Avengers movie, the Kang Dynasty. So it's very, it would be very on brand, very, MCU, Kevin Feige, to have someone he's worked with come on and do this. Because as many people know, if you've been following me, I still think WandaVision is the best Disney Plus show. I still think it's the most creative and interesting of all the Disney Plus shows they've done. Like the concept and some of the things that they were doing and the way that he was shooting it, and having to shoot in all these different styles and takes, and having to shoot it and make it look like it really could have taken place in that time period. All of that takes an insane amount of talent from a director to be able to execute that. And I don't think people really think about stuff like that. I've said it before. Like, some people were wondering, like, well, why is WandaVision, when they heard the budgets for certain things like WandaVision, like being like 150 mil, I'm like, you don't understand how ironically, it's very expensive to make things look, authentically old. To make things look and appear authentically old. And when you look at the behind the scenes on WandaVision, they did a lot of that with the live studio audiences. They used cameras and stuff from that time period. They shot it like it was a 50s sitcom and shit like that. They shot it like they were like it was I Love Lucy or some shit. Like it was Bewitched. They shot it with those cameras and with the set design and everything. So, and that's expensive. So for a director to be able to execute all of these different time periods and direct all of that and direct all these different time periods well says a lot. And that's the thing. It shows a level of versatility from this guy. Also, I believe he's on to direct some other stuff too. Like, I can't remember, but if I recall, he's been tapped to direct some other big notable IPs. So clearly other people have taken notice to him. This isn't just some guy who, he did this one thing with Marvel and he never, no. Other people have taken notice of his talent because he's supposed to direct some other stuff too. So as far as, I'm not very much worried about that. I'm not worried about his directing skills and if he can do it. Now, I will say, I might have done something, I've done something that so many other fans do. And you know what? I'm not going to say I'm ashamed of it, but I will admit to my guilt of falling in love with an idea for it not to be and to feel a bit disappointed about it. Because I have really, like, in my brain, I've had two names. Because I've always thought that, man, they have to make a splash, right? Like because like, there's already so many questions around how you lost the director, and it's the Fantastic Four, so you want to get someone in there who can do it right. And so I really, like, when the word Spielberg was floating around, I was like, yo, that's fucking nuts. Could you imagine Steven Spielberg? And then of course Brad Bird, and the reason people always say Brad Bird is because of The Incredibles, because he's already pretty much shown that he knows how to handle a superhero family and handle that dynamic perfectly. So just from that perspective, we know that we kind of trust that Brad Bird would be able to handle that dynamic, because that's the most important thing, is the family dynamic. Now, we didn't get to see too much. I mean, we saw Billy and Tim. We saw the twins and WandaVision, but we didn't really like it wasn't like what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't like we were stopped to focus all in on that family dynamic. It's not like Miss Marvel, where like the family dynamic is like, we didn't stop to focus in on that. In that regard, maybe they should get the director for Miss Marvel. I'm not sure, but I really like the family dynamic is the most important thing, which Brad Bird, we knew could direct that, and obviously there is a bit of the Fantastic Four in Marvel Comics, really? Sure, they are superheroes, but what they really are for most, are explorers of unknown dimensions, time, space, and different universes and planets. Like, that's really what they do. They're not like, superheroing is like a thing that like, superheroing is really just like a side thing. I mean, if I'm being honest, like, don't get me wrong, they go out, they fight crime, they get the Baxter Building, they are superheroes. But like, what the Fantastic Four are doing in their spare time when they're not superheroing is exploring unknown reaches of space and shit, or dimensions. That's why so often in the comics, someone will want to get in contact with them, and it's like, yeah, they went to a black hole or something. We don't know. We haven't heard from them. We'll hear from them eventually, but we don't know when, Like, that's kind of the Fantastic Four's deal, is exploring the unknown. And Reed Richards, obviously being the smartest man in the world's deal, is finding out the answers to all the unknown questions and figuring out solutions to things that don't have solutions. And that's kind of Reed's calling card, as he gets obsessed with these things. As I stated before in another video, technically, Reed Richards, through his own obsession, found the Pym particle before Hank did. But it wasn't that, but to him, it was cool, but it wasn't, it didn't like revolutionize his brain. He was just, that's a fucking fascinating thing, and moved on with it. And it was like, okay, cool, Pym found it, whatever. But like that's Reed. He's just like that guy. So, getting Spielberg to direct anything that takes place in outer space, there is a certain flair and a certain dramatic and a certain, gravitas that he could have brought to the Fantastic Four and to the overall feeling and atmosphere of the film. Like, there really is. Now, I mean, maybe he could have captured the family dynamic. I mean, he's done E.T. and things of that nature, so, maybe. But he definitely could have taken, that kind of dramatic angle to the next level. But Matt Shakman is a safe choice. And if they do get him, if they get him, it tells me that Kevin Feige is gonna be hands-on with this movie like the early days of the MCU. He's gonna be hands-on on this movie like the first couple phases of the MCU. He's gonna be more, because as reported, and some people talked about this, some people haven't, Kevin Feige has been much more hands-off in Phase 4. So maybe that's resulted in something with the quality. I've enjoyed Phase 4, but maybe that's affected certain people's perspective as well. Is that Kevin Feige has been a lot more hands off, which is ironic because that's what people asked for, and he's been more hands off, particularly with Multiverse of Madness, which he was like, "Oh my god, I just let Sam Raimi direct. Like, I just came in and be like, we can't do that, we can't do that, we can't do that." But otherwise, get crazy. Because, usually Feige's hands-on. He's on set every day, he's chilling, he's looking at it, he's in the room with the creators and the directors, and he's giving, usually he's all over that shit. But he wasn't. He hasn't been as much in this phase. And what tells me, if they do get Shakman, I'm gonna just say Matt, if they do get the WandaVision director to come on and direct the Fantastic Four, he's gonna be on that shit like rice. He's gonna be in every fucking meeting, on set every day, because I do believe that Kevin Feige, when he says the Fantastic Four is important. It is very important to get this right. It is very important that this thing hits. At the very least, be the best Fantastic Four movie, which isn't a high leap bar to jump. It's very important that this thing takes off. So I do think Feige is going to be more hands-on. He's going to be more in the trenches with this one. This Fantastic, if they do get that, because if they get Cameron or Bird, because I mean Disney had to talk Brad Bird to come back directing Incredibles 2. I mean they really had to talk him into it, which I still don't get that. Incredibles has such an interesting universe, but I'll talk about that another day. And James Cameron, if James Cameron comes on, there's only so much. Like, there's a lot of creative control Feige's going to have to give that man in order to get him in the room. So, if it is Matt Shakman, if it is him that is coming to direct this, I would look for an MCU movie that would probably be somewhere in the vein of Phase 2. Because if they get him, that means Feige is going to be all over this, and he does not want a director who's too big for his britches and going to fight him on everything. He's like, no, I got to get this shit right, and I'm going to be right next to your ass as we do this. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Movie Show. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. What do you think of Matt Shakman, the WandaVision director? Perhaps, not guaranteed, but I feel like it seems real to me. For some reason, when I heard it, I was like, yeah, that seems plausible. What do you think if he is the director? Comment below and let me know. Thank you guys for joining the Comic Movie Show again. I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.